I'm 42. Married for 14 years. 2 kids. A mortgage. A life that, until recently, felt painfully ordinary in the best way. My wife and I met in our late 20s. We built everything together from scratch: crappy apartments, second-hand furniture, shared passwords, shared dreams. She was my best friend. Still is, which somehow makes this worse. Life before all this was routine. Work, school drop-offs, dinners that rotated between pasta and takeout, arguments about laundry and money that always ended in tired apologies. Nothing dramatic. Nothing suspicious. I trusted her completely. I never checked her phone. Never questioned where she was. I was proud of that trust. Looking back now, that's the part that hurts the most. How safe I felt. How confident I was that whatever else went wrong in life, my marriage wasn't one of those fragile things. She started shopping more last year. Clothes, makeup, things she never cared much about before. I remember joking about it. Told her she was having a midlife glow-up. She laughed and said she just wanted to feel good again. I didn't think anything of it. Why would I? This is the part where people usually say, there were signs. But at the time, it all felt harmless. Normal. Like a woman rediscovering herself after years of being a wife and a mom. I wish I had paid closer attention. Or maybe I wish I hadn't. I don't know anymore. The store became her favorite place. A small boutique at the mall, nothing fancy. She'd come home with shopping bags and stories about the staff, especially one clerk. I remember his name because she said it so often. Evan. He's so funny, she'd say. He always knows what looks good. He makes shopping less boring. I teased her about having a mall boyfriend. She rolled her eyes and kissed my cheek. End of story. Or so I thought. She started going alone. Then staying longer. Sometimes she'd come home glowing, almost energized. I attributed it to retail therapy. God, I feel stupid writing that now. There were small changes too. Passwords changed. Phone always face down. She'd smile at texts but never share what was funny anymore. When I asked, she'd say, just group chat stuff. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. One night I reached for her phone to check the weather and she snapped. Don't. Immediate apology. Said she was just tired. I let it go. That's the thing about trust. Once you have it, it does half the lying for you. Friends noticed before I did. One asked if everything was okay between us. Said my wife seemed different. I laughed it off. Defended her. She's just happier, I said. I had no idea what that happiness was costing me. The first real doubt came from something stupid. Laundry. I was folding clothes and found a receipt in her jeans pocket. That boutique. Time stamped during hours she told me she was at work. I remember staring at it, my heart doing this slow, heavy thud. I confronted her casually. Gave her an easy out. Oh, I got off early, she said. Too fast. No eye contact. I nodded. Pretended that was enough. But something shifted in me that day. A tiny voice I'd never heard before. I started noticing patterns. The days she shopped lined up perfectly with days she stayed late. The new bras. The extra effort before errands. I hated myself for becoming suspicious. I hated the version of me that counted minutes and replayed conversations. One night I asked her directly if there was someone else. She laughed like I told a joke. Seriously? A store clerk? She said. You're being paranoid. She was offended. Hurt. Turned it around on me. Asked why I didn't trust her. So I apologized. That apology still burns in my chest. I went to the mall on my lunch break. Not to spy. I told myself I just needed air. I saw her car. Something took over me. Pure instinct. I walked into the store, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. She wasn't on the floor. Evan wasn't either. The fitting rooms were at the back. I walked past half-open doors, the smell of perfume thick in the air. I heard her laugh. That sound will haunt me forever. I knocked on the door. No answer. I pushed it open. They jumped apart. Her shirt half unbuttoned. His hands where they didn't belong. She screamed my name like she was the victim. I don't remember what I said. I remember shaking. I remember him stammering apologies. I remember her crying and saying, "It's not what it looks like," which might be the most insulting sentence in the English language. I walked out. Past staring customers. Past the cashier who wouldn't meet my eyes. I sat in my car and vomited. I drove home in a fog. I don't remember the route. I don't remember parking. I sat on the couch for hours, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed constantly. Her name. Over and over. I didn't answer. Shock is quiet. That's something no one tells you. It's not screaming or crying. It's numbness so deep it feels like falling asleep while standing up. When she came home, she tried to hug me. I stepped back like she'd burned me. She cried. Said it was a mistake. Said it just happened. Said it never went further than flirting before today. I asked her how long. She said months. Months. Every lie replayed in my head. Every smile. Every kiss goodbye before work. I slept in the guest room that night. Or tried to. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the fitting room door opening. I felt humiliated. Angry. Pathetic. I kept thinking, was I that easy to replace? The next day felt like walking through broken glass barefoot. We sat at the kitchen table for hours. The same table where we planned vacations, argued about bills, helped the kids with homework. Now it felt like a courtroom. I asked the same questions over and over, like maybe the answers would change if I said them differently. How long did you want him? I didn't want him. Then why him? I don't know. That, I don't know, became her shield. Every question I asked crashed into it and died there. She said it wasn't physical. That it was mostly emotional. That she felt desired. That she felt noticed. That she didn't think she was crossing a line until it was too late. I asked her if she thought about me while it was happening. She said no, then corrected herself and said sometimes. That hurt more than the fitting room. She cried hard. The kind of crying that looks painful. She grabbed my hands, begged me to look at her. Told me she loved me. Told me I was her home. I asked her why she risked that home for a man who barely knew her last name. She said she never thought she'd get caught. That sentence landed like a punch to the throat. She asked me not to tell anyone. Said it would ruin her. Ruin us. Ruin the kids. Said people would judge her forever for a moment of weakness. I told her it wasn't a moment. It was months. She said I was being cruel. I slept on the couch that night. I stared at the ceiling until dawn, replaying every memory, wondering which ones were real and which ones were already poisoned. We waited a week to tell the kids. I hated every second of that waiting. I watched them laugh, argue, exist normally, while my chest felt like it was collapsing inward. I felt like a liar every time I smiled at them. We sat them down in the living room. Both of us on the couch. United, at least in appearance. She did most of the talking. Said Mom and Dad were going through a hard time. That sometimes adults hurt each other without meaning to. That it wasn't their fault. I watched their faces change in real time. My oldest asked if we were getting divorced. My wife hesitated. That hesitation answered the question. My youngest started crying immediately. Wrapped their arms around my waist and asked me not to leave. I promised I wouldn't leave them. I didn't know how to explain that leaving their mother wasn't the same thing. After that, everything shifted. The house felt heavier. Like it was holding its breath. The kids started watching us constantly. Studying our body language. Flinching when voices rose. At night, I heard quiet crying through bedroom walls. I started hating myself for staying and hating myself for wanting to go. Once other people found out, the noise became unbearable. Her sister called first. Told me I was being dramatic. Said everyone flirts. Said I should be grateful it wasn't worse. A friend told me marriages take work and forgiveness. Another said I'd regret throwing away 14 years over ego. No one called to ask how it felt to walk in on your spouse touching someone else. I started questioning my own pain, wondering if I was too sensitive, too rigid, too proud. She leaned into that doubt. She'd say things like, "If you really loved me, you'd fight for us." Or, "I would forgive you if the roles were reversed." I didn't believe that, but part of me wanted to. I felt guilty for being angry. Guilty for hurting her by pulling away. Guilty for how this was affecting the kids. It was like I was responsible for everyone's pain except my own. That's when I realized something ugly. Staying was destroying me faster than leaving ever could. I barely recognized myself during that time. I snapped at coworkers. Forgot simple things. Couldn't focus long enough to read a page of a book. Sleep came in fragments. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. drenched in sweat, heart racing, mind replaying scenes I never wanted to imagine but couldn't stop seeing. I'd look at her and feel everything at once. Love, disgust, longing, rage. Sometimes all in the same minute. Some nights she'd knock on the guest room door, crying, asking to talk. Sometimes I let her in. Sometimes I pretended to be asleep. I hated the power imbalance. Hated that she wanted comfort from the person she shattered. Therapy helped, but it was slow. Pain doesn't disappear just because someone names it. My therapist said betrayal trauma rewires the brain. That hypervigilance is common. That I wasn't weak. I didn't feel strong. I felt broken. The decision didn't come after a fight. It came on a quiet Tuesday. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling on her phone, smiling at something. The same smile she used to have when she texted him. I realized I was holding my breath. I realized I was always holding my breath. I thought about the next 10 years. About constantly wondering who she was talking to. About checking locations. About asking questions I didn't want answers to. That wasn't a marriage. That was a prison with better furniture. I told her I wanted a divorce that night. She collapsed. Sobbed. Promised counseling, transparency, anything. I told her I believed she was sorry. I also told her sorry doesn't rebuild trust once it's burned to the ground. I felt numb saying it. Not relieved. Just final. Moving out didn't feel like a decision. It felt like an evacuation. I packed while she hovered, sometimes helping, sometimes breaking down mid-sentence. Every object carried weight. The coffee mug from our first apartment. The hoodie she used to steal. Photos I couldn't bring myself to take down, so I left them behind like unexploded bombs. The kids followed me from room to room. Watching. Asking questions I couldn't answer without hurting them. "Are you coming back tomorrow? Why can't you stay here? Did Mom do something bad?" I told them none of this was their fault so many times it started to feel meaningless. Words don't fix fear. When I finally drove away, my hands were shaking so badly I had to pull over. I cried in the car like a child. Loud. Ugly. Gasping. Friends reacted in strange ways. Some avoided me entirely, like betrayal was contagious. Others offered platitudes that made me want to scream. "You'll be fine. At least you found out. Everything happens for a reason." Nothing happens for a reason. It just happens. And then you deal with the wreckage. The first night alone was unbearable. No background noise. No breathing beside me. Just the echo of everything I'd lost, and the terrifying freedom of not knowing what came next. Regret shows up uninvited. It hits me in grocery stores when I reach for something she used to like. In parking lots where I instinctively check my phone to tell her I'm on my way home. Some days I regret not trying harder. Not forgiving faster. not being the bigger person everyone told me I should be. I replay conversations and imagine different outcomes. What if I hadn't gone to the mall that day? What if I'd confronted her earlier? What if I'd never known? Then relief sneaks in quietly. Relief that I don't wake up anxious anymore. Relief that I don't flinch when her phone buzzes. Relief that I'm not constantly wondering who she's really with or what she's hiding. I miss the version of her I thought I had, not the one who existed. That distinction took a long time to understand. Grief isn't just about losing someone. It's about losing the future you thought was guaranteed. The holidays you imagined. The old age you assumed you'd reach together. Some nights I still ache for her. Other nights I feel grateful I chose myself. Both feelings are real. Neither cancels the other out. I don't trust easily anymore. Not just romantically, at all. I question people's motives. I reread messages looking for hidden meaning. I brace myself for disappointment before it arrives. I hate that about myself. I used to be relaxed, open, secure. Now my nervous system feels permanently stuck on high alert. Dating feels impossible. Not because I don't want connection, but because connection feels like a liability. When someone shows interest, my first thought isn't excitement, it's suspicion. I'm aware of how unfair that is. They didn't hurt me. She did. But trauma doesn't care about fairness. I'm working on it. Slowly. Painfully. With a lot of setbacks. Some wounds don't bleed. They just change the way you move through the world. The divorce paperwork drags on. Signatures. Meetings. Discussions about assets that once felt shared and now feel contaminated. We communicate mostly about the kids. Schedules. School events. Logistics. Occasionally there's small talk. A joke. A memory. It always feels dangerous. She's kinder now. Softer. More careful with her words. Sometimes I wonder if this version of her could have saved our marriage if it had existed earlier. Then I remember that it exists because of what she did, not in spite of it. She still looks at me with something like hope. Like she's waiting for a miracle. I don't hate her. That surprises people. But love without trust is just longing mixed with fear. And I refuse to live that way again. I almost didn't post this. There's shame in admitting you were betrayed. Shame in admitting you stayed as long as you did. Shame in admitting you still miss someone who hurt you. But silence makes it worse. If you're reading this, and you feel crazy for being hurt by something that didn't go all the way, you're not crazy. Betrayal isn't measured by how far someone went physically. It's measured by how far they were willing to leave you emotionally. I don't have a clean ending. No inspirational turnaround. No dramatic revenge. Just survival. I'm learning how to live without the person I built my identity around. I'm learning that choosing yourself can feel lonelier than staying, but it hurts less in the long run. Some days I'm strong. Some days I'm not. But I know this, I didn't imagine the damage. And I didn't deserve it. If nothing else, writing this helped me breathe a little easier. And right now, that's enough.